הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. Start in your prayer books. היא שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד. הנה מה טוב ומה נעים, שבת אחים גם יחד.
The days get longer, and the Shabbat candle tapers also get longer. So I want to call up Olivia and Barry to go join us as you light the tapers. And big weekend for the family. Olivia, is something happening tomorrow?
Is something happening?
I don't know. I mean, you know, it's supposed to be sunny. And we'll have a little bit of sun with the candles. So you've got matches there. And Olivia, we give people before they're fully Jewish adults like a little easier time. The next time when we're out on the Shabbat on the plaza before we know it, people will light the candles and they blow out like instantly. So, you know, this is like an automatic transmission or something of Shabbat candles. All right, Eitan, Fred, if I can call you guys up now for opening the Ark. I'll invite everyone here to rise if you're able, and Cantor then will lead us on 101 with Ma Tovu. That is old Neve Shalom tradition for B'nai Mitzvah families who attend on Friday night.
מה טובו עליך יעקב, מה טובו עליך יעקב, מה טובו אוהליך יעקב, משכנותיך ישראל, משכנותיך ישראל, מה טובו עליך יעקב, ואני ברוב חסדך אבוא ביתך, אשתחווה לך על קודשך ביראתך, אדוני אהבתי מעון ביתך ומקום משכן כבודך, כבודך. מה טובו עליך יעקב, מה טובו עליך יעקב, מה טובו אוהליך יעקב, משכנותיך ישראל, משכנותיך ישראל, מה טובו אוהליך יעקב.
Please be seated on page, we're going to flip all the way back to the beginning, page 5, Shalom Aleichem.
Oh yeah, I know that one. I forgot about that one. Lots of flipping. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malchei HaMelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Kadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malchei HaMelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedchem leShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malchei HaMelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
The power of melody joined with prayer to create this space in this beautiful Shabbat service that we are enjoying together. Page 11, Lechuna Ranana, and continuing that theme of song, Lechu Neranana, come, let us sing. So an invitation, everything's in transliteration on the bottom left during the Kabbalat Shabbat services, if the Hebrew is something you haven't yet mastered.
Let us sing then, you and I, as the evening is spread. Yes. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Wait, we're clapping on the 2 and the 4. It doesn't work.
Cinco.
You gotta clap on the 1 and the 3.
Patient.
It's Ashkenazi music. You gotta clap on the 1 and the 3.
Syncopation.
1, 2, 3. Naria, Naria, Letzuri, Shen. You can clap. Kamafana vetoda. Naria, Naria, Letzuri, Shenu. Bizmira, Naria, lo. Lechuneranena, 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 l'Adonai. Lechuneranena, 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 l'Adonai. Lechu, 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 lechuneranena, oh, lechu, 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 lechuneranena. Ki el gadol Adonai, umelech gadol al kol Elohim, asher beyado mekere aretz, vetoafot ha'arim lo. Lechu, 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 lechu neranena, aha, lechu, 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 lechu neranena, asher lo hayam vehu asa'u, ויבש ידיו יצרו, ונשתחווה ונכרע, נברכה לפני אדוני עושנו. לכו, 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 לכו נרננה, לכו, 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 לכו נרננה. כי הוא אלוהינו, ואנחנו אמר איתו, וצאן ידו, היומים בקולו תשמעו. לכו, 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 לכו נרננה, לכו, 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 לכו נרננה. אל תנגשו לבבכם כי מריבה, כיום מסע במדבר, אשר ניסוני אבותיכם, וחנוני גם ראו פועלי. לכו, 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 לכו נרננה, או לכו, 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 לכו נרננה. 40 שנה כל בדור, במערב תוהה לבבהם, והם לא ידעו דרכי, אשר נשבעתי באפי, הם יבואון אל מנוחתי.
It's a reading, English reading here on page 17 that I like to refer to periodically. It is so apt, I think, for just the way prayer works. It's called Sing. Join with me. We'll just read that together. When we sing the words of a prayer, we are actually expressing ourselves in two languages simultaneously, one of words with limits and depth, and one decidedly limitless with an immense power of its own. Alone, music can affect us emotionally, changing our happiness to introspection, our sorrow to joy. It also affects us physically, actually raising or lowering our breath and heart rate. So it is only natural that music would be a necessary tool to communicate with God, who addresses and moves us in ways both articulable and indefinable, and who is limited in the imagination of our minds, but limitless as the object of the longing of our hearts. There are a lot of beautiful readings tucked throughout the prayer book, and if the prayers themselves aren't grabbing you that moment, I always encourage people to take advantage of the inspiration right there in the margins, page 21.
Repeat. וישבר אדוני את ארזי הלבנון וירקידם כמו עגל לבנון וסיריון כמו בן הרמי כל אדוני חוצם לעבוד אש כל אדוני יכיל מדבר יכיל אדוני מדבר קדש כל אדוני יכול לעלות ויחשוף יערות ובחלום לא אומר כבוד אדוני על המבול ישב ישב אדוני מלך לעולם אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום איי 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 איי
If you yah-yahed when the cantor went silent, it's an invitation to 10 more. It is amazing, for those of us who come regularly, you just know at a certain point when that music stops. You feel it deeply. So if you had a stutter of sound, come back next week. Page 23, L'chadodi, the first 2 stanzas, and then 25 for the final.
Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekavela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ותפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך לך דודי דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. We don't have to stand up yet. ימין ושמאל תפרוצי, ואת אדוני תריצי, על יד איש פן פרצי, ונשמחה ונגילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצולה, תוך אמוני ים סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה.
Please be seated. To the entire Kurnoff family, as we remember Michael, I want to extend our traditional words of comfort. Hamakom yinachem etchem betok sha'ar avlei Tzion v'Yerushalayim. May God in every place comfort you among all those who mourn. And that notion of God as a place, a space that holds us. Our grief is its own space that sort of is set off from the space where we live the rest of our lives. But it's also a very powerful place of memory and love and outpouring and an opportunity, a precious opportunity when family comes together. So may Michael's memory be a positive and wonderful blessing, and may you continue to tell the stories of his life for years to come. We will continue on page 27, Psalm 92.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון. טוב להודות לאדוני, להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות. טוב עלי עשור ועלי נבל, עלי היגיון בכינור, כי שימחתני אדוני בפעולך, במעשה ידיך רלל. טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון. טוב להודות לאדוני, טוב להודות לאדוני. צילוי מפרח אש ההרים כמו עשב שם למד ורום לאדוני. בגרים על המלאים תשמע לאוזני.
Middle of 28.
צדיק אתה אמר יפרח כארז בלבנון, יזכה שתולים בבית אדוני, בחצרות אלוהינו יפריחו, עוד ינובון בשבע, דשנים ורעננים יהיו להגיד, כי ישר אדוני צורי ולא עוולתה, ואדוני מלך ולבש. עדותיך נמנו מאוד, לביתך נא בקודש, אדוני לאורך ימים.
I don't mean to be the bearer of bad news or the creator of your anxiety, but it's 10 days till Pesach. And despite what Rabbi Elliot Dorff always said about creeping Passover, by which he meant that a mound of matzah and macaroons would take over an already Pesach table, in this case, my older son's room, since he's off at college, Passover always arrives too early. Am I right? For those of us responsible for it? Like, I don't know how the matzah balls ever float. They should always sink from the lack of time. And despite this, you know, we have no really good excuse for it, because the tradition says 30 days before the holiday, you should start preparing for it. Sometimes finding enough kosher stuff, you have to start 30 months ahead here. But it's also talking about sort of the spiritual preparation as well. And there is a way that we get so focused just on getting that Seder table ready and the house cleaned and the guests there, that the most we can do is sort of look at Passover as a historical reminder of our national past, or you know, just family, a beautiful opportunity for family to get together and celebrate recipes and memories and things of that sort. But it's a spiritual preparation of Passover I want to share with you guys tonight, connecting it to Parshat Tazria, because, you know, there's a lot of bad news in the world right now, and it can drag you down. And for me, I don't know about you, but there is something so powerful about spiritual engagement and learning of our tradition, which is this tremendously wonderful antidote, because it gives us this perspective that the world and life and human existence is a lot bigger than the dark cycles of the news. So with that in mind, I want to turn to three topics connected with initially the Parsha, the weekly Torah reading, and then with Passover. The first, which doesn't sound like we're getting the good news, is disfigurement, then matzah and the search for chametz, and finally, the ego. Not the Eggo waffle, that's forbidden on Passover, but the ego. You push it down, and it always pops right back up, doesn't it? So disfigurement shows up quite literally in Parshat Tazriah's description of biblical leprosy. Scaly skin, boils, premature whitening of the hair, and so forth. Sounds horrible from a social perspective. And almost any teenager who has suffered from a bad case of acne can commiserate with the biblical leper. Standing in front of the mirror and seeing our disfigured faces looking back at us can cause tremendous pain in our adolescent years. Bell's palsy can do that in our middle years. It's as though the ego stares into the mirror and it can't see its true self. All it sees is the blemished self, the imperfect self. It doesn't see its kindness, its compassion, its humor, whether or not it is a good friend. Instead, our ego remains transfixed by what it deems its own ugliness. It only sees the horrible red dots of its own suffering. This year, no matter how long it's been since we were teens, about 8 years for Cantor and me, we all understand disfigurement because sadly so many people on social media and on our streets keep pointing at us, intent on disfiguring us in the eyes of the world and wanting to exclude us from the camp of humanity, just as the leper was. And how many Jews are beginning to accept this portrayal, seeing ourselves like a teen in the mirror, or those who wish to blame a Portland Jew for a war halfway around the world. So the strange case of the biblical leper speaks to us anew. And despite that, it's worth noting that nowhere does the Torah give us an inkling about the emotional state of the leper. We might caution ourselves about reading too much into that omission of silence, because a lot of times the Torah gives the surface. It doesn't give you the emotional state of its protagonists, although sometimes it does. Yet we can find contemporaneous literature, contemporaneous to the Bible that is, that does address the experience of our physical experience. Famously, in the Greek legend, Narcissus stares into a mirror-smooth pond, and he's so smitten with the face he sees looking back at him that he's transfixed. This is actually his punishment for being unwilling to see others, especially Echo, who's fallen in love with him. The Greek gods, who love a bit of irony, punish him in his self-obsession by, well, more self-obsession. Let's add here that according to later rabbinic interpretation, biblical leprosy is a punishment for gossiping about others. In each case, we see that both the Greeks and Hebrews believe that not being sufficiently attuned, aware, or sensitive of others is ground for such punishment. The Greeks give us a legend in which someone looks in a mirror and has only good feels, while the Torah presents us with a disfigured leper, but doesn't describe any emotion to that. Happenstance? Yungay Mingyur Rinpoche, one of Tibet's most beloved contemporary Buddhist monks, gives a talk in which he proposes that self-criticism and low self-esteem is a particularly modern affliction. He bases this on the fact that the rich Tibetan Buddhist literature describes many sorts of mental roadblocks that a meditator will face, but doesn't spend much time on low self-esteem. I think it's kind of hard to imagine in our time, which is so rife with anxiety, body image, etc., that concern is primarily modern, but just because it's hard for us to imagine that to be so doesn't mean it isn't. Social context matters. I'll return to that self-induced suffering shortly, whether it's the type caused by too little self-esteem or like Narcissus, from a little bit too much. To help us make that transition, though, let's now turn to the commandment to eat matzah. Show of hands, how many people love matzah? See, for you, it's not a mitzvah. When it hurts, now that's a mitzvah. So the Torah gives us two explanations for why matzah. The one most of us remember is that we left so quickly that our dough didn't have time. Given that our people that people still to this day often carry their starter dough with them in a container as they journey. There's a friend of mine just went to Texas from LA with starter dough to make pizza while watching Totality with his family. It's not a particularly satisfying explanation, although it is explicitly recorded in the Torah in Exodus 12:39. They baked unleavened cakes of the dough which they had brought out of Egypt, for it was not leavened, because they were driven out of Egypt and could not wait, nor had they prepared provisions for themselves. The second biblical reason to eat matzah is that the Bible tells us to. It's a mitzvah. In Exodus 12:18, it says, in the first month, on the 14th day of the month at evening, Seder, you shall eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the month at evening. Here in the diaspora, it'll be the 22nd day. What can I tell you? We got 8 days of this holiday. And there's no reason. It's just this is what you do. You shall eat and yet in Deuteronomy 16:3, the mitzvah is coupled with two additional reasons. You shall eat no leavened bread with it, meaning the paschal offering, the lamb. 7 days you shall eat it with unleavened bread, the bread of affliction. For you came out of the land of Egypt in haste, that you may remember the day when you came out of the land of Egypt all the days of your life. So according to Deuteronomy, we should eat matzah because it is the bread of affliction, and so that we remember the day of our freedom, and that the cost of that freedom is matzah. It's an avoidance of luxury, in other words. So once our tradition identifies matzah with affliction, as opposed to a tasty flatbread, it opened an interpretive doorway to ask, what sort of affliction? Just as it linked lashon hara, or gossip, with biblical leprosy, so too it assigned a puffed-up ego with chametz. And I don't think that's going to surprise lots of us. We've heard that, right? Because it's a very ancient interpretation, and many contemporary rabbis still like to talk about chametz as that sort of puffed-upness. And I think that's in part because the way the way that English works, we tend to associate the ego with excessive self-regard, like narcissist, because we have that English word, egotistical, right? But in both the spiritual and psychological realms, it isn't limited in that way. And Rabbi Shlomo Berezovsky, one of my favorite Hasidic authors, in the Netivot Shalom, The Paths of Peace, suggests that when we search for chametz, that puffed upness on the night before the Seder, what we actually are doing and need to do is search our negative thoughts. And he continues, because this ritual encourages us to look even in the cracks and crevices of our home, we must also seek out the hidden and unseen thoughts that people don't realize are in their chametz. For these thoughts are the beginning of all negativity and lead ultimately to bad behavior. And the example he gives is how Cain is jealous of his brother Abel because of the offering he gives, and kills his brother because of that. So in this powerful understanding of chametz is our negative thoughts. The mind constantly produces thoughts, right? If I tell you to stop thinking of pizza, what are you thinking of? Pizza. Right? And the thing is that some of these thoughts are not as pleasant as pizza, right? They're quite destructive and ego-driven. And if we don't notice them, we don't slow down enough to notice them, when we don't search them out, they can take control of our lives in the way that they did with Cain, which brings us back to disfigurement and some action steps we can take to address the chametz of our runaway ego-created thoughts. So if we view chametz only as our puffed-up ego, we may feel off the hook. That's not my issue. That's that blowhard's issue, we intone inwardly. And we may not realize that our self-doubt, our anxiety, our worry are also the garments that the ego puts on to make us feel separate and isolated from one another. Whether we're narcissists at the lake or a pimple-flecked face at the mirror, these negative thoughts, Rabbi Berezovsky reminds us, are the disfigurements that keep us from experiencing spiritual liberation. Okay, now, since it's impossible to be human without suffering from both our hidden and revealed thoughts, our internal chametz, what can we do to search them out? I'm going to give you some actual practical stuff here. The first is to take an inventory. That's that whole notion of starting 30 days early, cleaning our spiritual house like we do when checking for chametz. And like Hansel and Gretel, we need to look for those crumbs of negative thoughts that have just dropped inside our heads. So each night until Passover, it's only 10 days, so it's not forever, I'm going to say that you might want to, before going to bed, just review your day and sort of see if you can capture some of those negative thoughts that occupied you. And, if you end up telling your parent, your spouse, a friend, whether it's a good day or bad day, so often it's because of the thoughts that we've accompanied that day with. So when it's just sort of that looking leads a little bit to liberation. Second, when these painful thoughts of the ego arise, we can test them by asking the thoughts themselves, is this really true? Right? I think all sorts of crazy stuff. If you saw the inside of my head, well, it'd be entertaining perhaps for you, right? But it's the same for you also, right? And you can look at those thoughts, those negative thoughts, and you can say, is this true? And sometimes that's enough to sort of shift it. And you can also look at it and say, not me, not mine. The thoughts are there. They're just constant, but it doesn't mean we have to own them. We don't have to get attached to them. That's that ego of attachment, that chametz. And finally, another little mental exercise you can do is sort of an exercise of affirmation. So if you're inside, if your challenge is that you really think highly of yourself, you might not want to do the exercise at all. Why bother? You don't need it. No, but make 5 affirmations about someone you know each day to yourself. Try to have it be different each day even. Not so easy, but what you're doing is changing out of your self-focus of positivity and seeing that in someone else. And if you're someone who needs a little bit of that for yourself, a little bit on the critical side, self-critical side, have 5 affirmations of something great about yourself. And I think that if you engage in these practices for the next 10 days, that you'll discover that a little bit of spiritual liberation is closer than we imagine. That's a problem, though, because sometimes when things are close or easier than we thought they were, we just don't we don't believe in them. There's that old line that, I got a business MBA over here. A consultant is somebody from, complete the sentence, from somewhere else. Right? We think that this liberation has to be from somewhere else. It has to be hard to get to. But it isn't. It's right there with us. So just those practices, I hope, will give us a little bit more ease during a time when it's not easy to be a Jew, not always easy to be a human being, but when Passover reminds us that freedom from some of those challenges is available and indeed will help to make it a Chag Kasher Sameach, a happy and joyous Passover. We got 10 days, time's a ticking, get busy. So we'll get a little Jewish calisthenics in. Please rise for the Baruch Hu 39A.
Baruchu et Adonai v'orach.
Please be seated.
מעביר יום מביא לילה, מבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי והקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד, ברוך אתה אדוני, המעריב והרהבים.
Page 40, Ahavat Olam, this unit of prayer that leads us right after that to the Shema. Page 40.
So I introduced this melody in December, and it's partially composed by me and partially not. I grew up at this synagogue called the Spanish and Portuguese Synagogue in Montreal, which has a really rich combination of traditions. Western Sephardic, meaning English and Dutch, and Italian, and Moroccan, which is what I am, and Ashkenazim. And there were someone there, years ago, maybe 100 or so years ago, wrote this melody, which goes, Torah, Torah, Torah u'mitzvot, hu חוקים חוקים ומשפטים אותנו לימדת. And it was very back and forth. Cantor sings, chants, 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 choir and congregation answers, and then they move on, move on, move on. And now we have more song structures in our services. So I said, let me write a verse and make that, what I just did right now with you, the chorus. So please, when you get to any part that you know, sing with me, but certainly when you get to the... Okay, here we go. Oh, sorry, I'm going to do a different song. I'm joking. We'll do this one. Ahavat Olam, page 40. Ahavat Olam, Bet Yisrael, Amecha ahavta. Ahavat Olam, Bet Yisrael, Amecha ahavta. Torah, Torah, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim, Chukim u'mishpatim otanu limadeta. Torah, Torah, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim, Chukim u'mishpatim otanu limadeta. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shorveinu v'kumeinu nasiach bechukecha, nasiach bechukecha. Torah, Torah, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim, Chukim u'mishpatim otanu limadeta. V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha u'v'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed, le'olam va'ed. Ki em chayenu ve'orech yameinu v'hem negei yomam v'layla. Ve'avatecha al tasir mimenu le'olamim. Torah, Torah, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim, Chukim u'mishpatim otanu limadeta. Torah, Torah, Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim, Chukim u'mishpatim otanu limadeta. And the Shema. Baruch atah Adonai ohev amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol lavavecha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha. Ve'hayu havarim ha'elan asher anohi mitzaveh hayom al levavecha ושיננת בניך ודיברת בם בשיטתך ביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשרך וקשרתם על ידיך להיו לטפטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם מזוזות ביתך בשעריך.
Shakalak. Have a seat, Erica. Thank you. ונתה עשה וסלחה למחך ויכולת וסבתה, הישמר לכם פן יוסף.
ויאמר אדוני השם לאמור, דבר בני שמת עליהם אשר לא תצית. אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. Yesher Koach to Erica Menashe for leading us in the Shema.
And Michamoch 44, top of the page, Umalchuto, and then into that chant that the women sang after crossing the Sea of Reeds.
Oh, remember those? Good times.
Good time, indeed.
ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם משה ומרים בני ישראל לחנו שירה בשמחה רבה ואמרו כולם מי כמוך באלים אדוני מי כמוך נדר בקודש תורת אילות אוסף אל מלכותך לאובניך בוקע ים לפני משה צליאנו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני God Israel.
You know, there's something so powerful about lullabies. And I think that most of us hopefully have a memory of somebody singing us a lullaby as we go to sleep. And I like to think of Hashkivenu on 45 as God singing us that lullaby. Cantor's a beautiful arrangement to a 1980s pop song that in a band that we both liked for that.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu Leshalom Leshalom Ve'amidenu Malkeinu Lechaim Lechaim Ufros Aleinu Sukkah Shelomecha Shelomecha שלומך ותכרנו בעצה טובה מלפניך והושיענו למען שמך והגן בעדנו ויסר מעלינו אויב דבר וחרב ורע ויגון השכיבנו לשלום שלום והסר שטן מלפנינו לפנינו ומאחרינו אחרינו ובצל כנפיך תסתירנו כי אלה שומרנו ומצילנו אתה כי אלה חנון ורחום אתה, השכיבנו לשלום. שלום. ושמור צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ושלום מעתה ועד עולם, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך. ברוך אתה אדוני הפורס סוכת שלום עלינו וכל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים.
We've come to a standing section of the service. 46, we have Vishamru, followed by Chatzi Kaddish, and then immediately moving into our private Amidah, beginning on 47 through 52, or however else you want to engage introspectively. 46 now.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל לא תהיה לעולם, כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש. יתגדל ויתקדש שמר רבה, ועל מה דיברה כירותי וימליך מלכותה, בחייכון וביום יכול ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בגלה ובזמן קריב ויאמרו אמן. ישמר רבה מברך לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי קודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושיענתה, תושבחתה בנחמתה תמירן בעלמא ויאמרו אמן.
Oseh shalom bimromav, uyaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru, amen. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, Yaseh shalom, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
Eva Gott.
You may be seated. Again, about 53.
מגן אבות בדברו מחיימת עם מאמרו האל הקדוש אין כמוהו לילה 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 המניח לעמו ביום שבת קודשו טבעם רצה להניח להם לפניו נעבוד בירם ופחד ונודה לשמו בכל יום תמיד לילה 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 מעונה ברכות אל ההודעות אדון השלום מקדש השבת וברך שביעי ומניח בקדושה לעמד ושני עונג זכר למעשה בראשית לילה 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 לילה
Kaddish Shalom, page 54.
אם גדל וקדש שמר רבה, ועל מה דיברה קירותי ומלכותי בחיי חול ומחול וחיי כל בית ישראל, בעגלה בזמן קריב מרו, אמן. יש מרבה מברך, לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה, יתברך וישתבח ויפאר ותרומה מנסה ותדר ותעלה ותעלל, שמת וקדושה בריחו, לאלה מכל ברכתה ושירתה, ושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמה מרו, אמן. תתקבל סלת ההון והתהון כל ישראל, קודם ובהון ושהיה מרו, אמן. יש לומר רבה ושהיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל מרו, אמן. עושה שלום ממרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל יושבי תבל וימרו, אמן.
Let's rise for Kiddush, and then we'll remain standing for Aleinu immediately after. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'atzavanu, b'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lemahaseh v'reishit. כי הוא יום תחילה למקרא קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים.
בשבת
קודשך, באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-Shabbat.
Amen.
Aleinu, before Aleinu, we need to get the ark open, so I want to call up Sloan and Raya to do that for us, and then we'll continue on 56.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שאתה שם את הארץ. על כן אלוהינו. ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. In addition to Michael Kernoff, in recent weeks we also are marking the loss of Alan Greenwald and Ruby Sachter, and our condolences to their family. In a few moments we'll turn to Kaddish, and of course our yard site list is on the back sheet. Before that, though, I will ask if anyone in particular is reciting Kaddish for someone on that list or has a different name. I'll ask you to share that. Before that, though, I have a poem by Rumi. I love Rumi, and according to the back of Rumi, the Big Red Book, he is the masterwork of America's best-selling poet. I don't know if that's true, but this is called When I Die. When I die, when my coffin is being taken out, you must never think I am missing this world. Don't shed any tears, don't lament or feel sorry. I'm not falling into a monster's abyss. When you see my corpse is being carried, don't cry for my leaving. I'm not leaving, I'm arriving at eternal love. When you leave me in the grave, don't say goodbye. Remember, a grave is only a curtain for the paradise behind. You'll only see me descending into a grave. Now watch me rise. How can there be an end when the sun sets or the moon goes down? It looks like the end, it seems like a sunset, but in reality it is the dawn. When the grave locks you up, that is when your soul is freed. Have you ever seen a seed fall into earth, not rise with a new life? Why should you doubt the rise of a seed named human? Have you ever seen a bucket lowered into a well coming back empty? Why lament for a soul when it can come back like Joseph from the well? When for the last time you close your mouth, your words and soul will belong to the world of no place, no time. I want to invite anyone again reciting Kaddish to rise and share the names as well. My condolences, I didn't hear that. Rebecca? Yeah. So together then, those of us in the period of mourning, page 58, Yit Gadal v'Yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah v'Alma Divra Kirtei v'Amlich Malchutei v'Chayechon v'Yamechon v'Chayei d'Chol Beit Yisrael ba'Agala u'Vizman Kari v'Yimru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevarak le'olam u'lamei Almaya Yit Barak v'Yishtabach v'Yit Ba'ar v'Yit Ramam v'Yit Naseh v'Yit Hadar v'Yit Aleh v'Yit Halal Shmei d'Kudsha B'richu La'ela min kol v'echata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata damiram b'alma v'yimru Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mamav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol Yisvei tevel v'yimru Amen. May the one who makes peace in the high places bring peace to every corner of our world and to those of us in our community who are mourning as well. Got a few announcements before we conclude with Yigdal, and then after I'll make that next announcement. Anyone remember George Carlin's great routine about how you've got stuff and other people have junk? Get your junk out of here. Oh, that's my stuff, don't touch it. We have a wonderful occasion tomorrow called the Great Haggadah Exchange, where you get to swap your stuff, your Haggadah, for somebody else's junk, their Haggadah, turning it into cool stuff. It's a great, great idea that Leora Troper, librarians putting together. It's a way to get some new to you Haggadot to have just on the table or around for the Passover Seder. So 1 o'clock this Sunday for an hour. A couple new programs. Rabbi Eve and Carol Stamper are running a grief group on select Wednesday evening, so go online to find out the explicit dates. And then I'll be teaching a new Lunch and Learn twice a month called the Portland Torah Times, Contemporary Issues Informed by Jewish Wisdom. It'll be a Lunch and Learn alternating between in-person, bring your own lunch, and on Zoom, don't bring your own lunch or have it right at home. So we have that going on. Passover, and then Scholar in Residence.
The community.
Community Seder, yeah.
On the second night.
Oh, yeah, so if you are looking for a community Seder, second night Seder, we close that out on Tuesday. I think we had 83 people signed up so far. Nice. So it should be a really nice group. And Scholar in Residence, May 3rd through 5th. Really great speaker. We're bringing in Professor Daniel Zafman, former head of the Chaim Weizmann Institute. That's Israel's MIT or equivalent, and it's going to be a great talk. We'll have some local experts on artificial intelligence as well. So please stay tuned for that also.
Was the second night Seder closed out last Tuesday or this Tuesday?
This coming Tuesday, I believe, we're still open to. I checked with Lisa today, yeah. So after that, you can come, but there won't be any food for you, which sometimes feels like that. When are we going to eat? You? Never. You didn't register. But everyone else,
No.
We will conclude quite seriously with Yigdal now on page 62.
יגדל אלוהים חי וישתבח, נמצבנת אל מציאותו, אחד בן יחיד כייחודו, נעלם גם אין סוף לאחדותו, אלו דמות הגוף ואינו גוף, לא נערוך אליו קדושתו, קדמון לכל דבר אשר נברא, ראשון ואין ראשית לראשיתו, הינו אדון עולם וכל נוצר, יורא גדולתו ומלכותו, שפע נבואתו נתנו אל אנשי סגולתו ותפארתו, לא קם בישראל כמשה עוד, נביא ומביט את אמונתו, תורת אמת נתן לעמו אל, על יד נביאו נאמן ביתו, לא יחניף האל ולא ימיר, דתו לעולמים לזולתו, צופה ויודע צאתרנו, מביא לסוף דבר בקדמתו, גומל לאיש חסד כמפעלו, נותן לרשע רע כרישתו, ישלח לקץ ימין משיחנו, לבדוד מחכה קץ ישועתו, מתים יחייל ברוב חסדו, ברוך עדי עד שם תהילתו, מתים יחייל ברוב חסדו, ברוך עדי עד שם תהילתו.
I want to invite all the kids up as Cantor does hand washing and hamotzi and cuts the challah for us all.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Hey, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat. Shabbat, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat. Shabbat, Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Isaac, Amelia, there's wonderful challah up here, if that's okay. We got challah. Come on up. No.
That's my one skill.
Shabbat Shalom. I knew there was one. I knew. Yeah, right. Exactly.
Shalom.